Hey, welcome everybody. It's Suzanne here with Caregiver Haven, and today this webinar is really exciting. It's got everything in it you're going to need if you're planning a trip with your senior or without your senior, and the decisions that you have to make. So I've pretty much put everything in here that you could think about that I've seen over the years have occurred, and I've taken from caregiver experiences as well as what professional caregivers have said. And even seniors, and how things worked out. So travel is going to be both exciting and stressful. But as the family care partner, it comes with additional challenges. And whether you're attending a wedding or a family reunion or a vacation, just getting all together, you're going to wonder, should I bring my loved one along or arrange care at their home? Should they be left behind? So we really don't know that until the day arrives, do we? Because we don't know what situation we're going to be in. But their health can change overnight, right? And then making decisions are going to become unpredictable. So if they stay at home, who's going to care for them? And what about caregiver guilt? Are you going to have that? Well, this webinar is going to walk you through all of the pros and cons and the choices that you're going to make, and you're going to remain flexible because when the day arrives to travel, you're going to be prepared. That's for sure, to know that if things have to change, you've got this. Okay, so what we're going to learn today is deciding whether to bring a senior or not, and arrange for at-home care if you need to, and how to plan for a senior-friendly trip. So we'll talk about that a little bit more, what to look for, because the trip really depends sometimes on whether they can go or not. Then we're going to look at how to plan, handling unexpected health issues, managing the caregiver burnout while traveling, and the legal and safety precautions or preparations that you have to have in place, especially if you're going out of state. Their legal medical decisions may not be legal in that state, and therefore it comes on somebody has to make a decision if your senior can no longer make that decision, because those documents are not legal in that state. So that is important to remember. Okay, leaving your loved one behind while you travel, all right, is going to trigger some guilt, worry, or even second guessing. And you may wonder, are they going to feel abandoned? Or what if something happens while I'm gone? That's a very, very common worry. What if something happens while they're gone? And these feelings are going to be natural, but it's important to remember that taking time out for yourself is necessary for your own well-being. Travel is a part of life, whether it's on a vacation, a wedding, or a funeral. The key is ensuring that your loved one is safe and well cared for while you're away. And if you're feeling guilty, remind yourself that rest makes you a better support system. And if needed, set up regular check-ins with their caregiver, or schedule short video calls. So you can go on this vacation and you know that the emergency room is always there, that is going to do everything possible for your loved one. They have all their medical decisions in place. So your only thing is getting back home if such an emergency would occur. So before making any travel plans, it's crucial to assess your loved one's health. Even if they seemed fine last month, their condition may have changed. So schedule a checkup with their doctor and ask, is travel safe for them right now? Consider factors like mobility, stamina, medication needs, and cognitive health. And if they have a chronic condition like heart disease or dementia or mobility issues, discuss travel adjustments or alternative care options. If travel is possible, ask for an updated medication list and any necessary prescriptions, and even a handicap sticker if they don't already have one. So if you're traveling to a popular place, handicap stickers and wheelchairs are going to be needed, and you can get that at the facility if they accommodate such arrangements, which usually they do. So don't forget to get that handicap sticker. Okay, not all events are suitable for seniors. Some environments, like family reunions in a quiet park, are going to be manageable. And there's got to be time away from the family reunion to take down the energy and all the stimulation for the senior. So there's also going to be a crowded, high energy wedding. People are dancing, yelling, screaming, things like that. Is that a place that your senior can handle? Or can your senior sit in the corner quietly and people can take turns visiting him or her? Funerals are often very lengthy. Plus, there's got to be arrangements to get the senior in and out of the car. They're usually very close to the person in the in the who has passed, and what kind of long distance travel is going to be arranged for your senior physically and emotionally, because funerals are emotionally exhausting, whereas family reunions excuse me, and weddings aren't necessarily so. So before deciding, you've got to ask yourself, can they handle loud environments and extended travel? Will they need the mobility assistance? Is it available at the venue? Is there a place for them to rest during the event? Extremely important. Okay, next, bringing your loved one on a trip means that they're going to be part of the cherished family moments, right? But it also comes with the challenges such as the mental demanding. They get nervous when they're in a strange environment. They don't know where their wheelchair is. They don't know where their blanket is. They're afraid to lose their comfort zone. So, on the plus side, though, your senior does get to see the family and experience new places and avoid being left out, especially if it's a funeral of somebody they care dearly about. However, the long travel hours, is it going to be, how's it going to be? Is it going to be in a car? Is it going to be on a plane? Is it going to be on a train, on a bus? Um, are they going to need frequent medical care? So you have to think about these things and weigh the benefits and the drawbacks carefully to make sure you're making the best choice. If you're unsure, you can consult other family members. And that would be a good time not only to ask them, but, you know, figure out it's a good time to ask them, but it's also a good time to ask them how they're going to help. Okay. And you got to be very specific here and tell them exactly what you're going to need. So if bringing your loved one isn't an option, then we have to look at arranging a trustworthy senior care at home facility, somebody who's going to come in. And you're going to feel guilty leaving them. That's just natural, that's normal. But having that reliable care plan in place is going to ease your concerns. Several options, like hiring somebody to come in for 24-hour care, or is there a facility that can house them for a short term stay, like a respite care facility, or coordinating with family members that are staying at home. So start by listing, excuse me, your seniors' daily needs, medications, mobility assistance, meal preparation, and companionship. And make sure whoever is stepping in understands their routine. I always like to keep a list of everything that I had to help my mom with throughout the day, and that list stayed on the door. So never lost it. It was on the back of the door. So anybody coming through that door, I could grab that list and I go over it with them and I say, this is exactly what we need to do. This is when she needs this. This is when she needs this. If you're using a professional assistant somewhere, a home care, book it in advance and do a quick trial run to make sure your senior is comfortable with the people that they're going to be with. And then don't forget to stay in touch while you're away with phone calls, video chats to offer reassurance, check in, pictures, take plenty of pictures while you're at the event, bring them home so they can see them and enjoy them. And have other people in the video chat too. Say hi to your loved one, your senior, so they don't feel left out. Okay, traveling with your senior requires this not only this advanced planning for accessibility and mobility support, but we have to look at other things such as the airline assistance. We have to look at accessible accommodations, the elevators, the ramps, the safety bars. Airlines are going to be very accommodating when it comes to your senior. You really don't have to worry about that. They're lovely about it, but just don't forget to tip that person that transports your loved one through the airport. They do rely on tips, they do need tips. So, and if you're staying at a hotel, make sure you get a handicapped room. Many handicapped rooms are right next to the elevator. Some people like those, some people really don't like that elevator chiming every 2 seconds, so they like to be far enough away. Most handicapped rooms might be on the first floor, which is easy. But however, we do know that the first and the top floor of a hotels are the most used rooms in a hotel. So they're not necessarily the cleanest, they're more worn out, if you know what I mean. So, whatever you're going to need, make sure that you have something, a nice place for your senior to get in and out of the bathroom easily. Check ahead on booking restaurants and any attractions that you're going to. And again, you have that handicap sticker for parking. And then what kind of aids are you going to need to pack, such as the walker, the cane, the wheelchair. So all of this stuff, as you plan ahead, think about all the things you need, just like you're taking a brand new newborn to a family reunion. You have a lot of things you have to take with you when you take a newborn. So you're going to do the same thing with a senior. All right. Most people do overlook senior travel insurance, okay, or any kind of traveling insurance. This becomes important because if the senior needs medical care, whether it is in the country or out of the country, you have to know that many charge cards, if you're putting this trip on a charge card, cover travel insurance, okay, medical insurance. Personal experience with me was when my son broke his arm skiing in another state in Colorado, actually. The travel insurance booked it. I mean, covered it totally. And it wasn't the credit card that did it. It was actually Travelocity had if you could send in your claim within 30 days, they paid the whole bill, which was significant because he needed an operation to get that arm back together again, and the ambulance ride to get there to the to Aspen emergency room. So all of this was covered because I'd gone through Travelocity. So you can do that. You can look at that. You can look at the credit card that you're using to see if they have any coverage for out of state traveling. Okay. Especially if your senior has an event and has to go to the emergency room, that these are all taken care of. The other thing you want to know is about trip cancellation protection due to the illness or due to something going on with your senior. These can be very restrictive. You have to read the fine print and know that, sometimes they don't cover because that fine print said no. So trip protection sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. And sometimes they only give you like 50% back. They don't give you the whole thing back. So know your coverages. Okay. Um, the other thing to know is about if you're going out of the country, you really do need to know about those credit cards and that travel protection. Okay, because some countries, a friend of mine had an event in Japan. They would not do anything until they had cash, and the cash was going to be $30,000. So by the time they got the house mortgaged and they got the $30,000 out for treatment, it didn't. It was too late. So you need to know how each country and every country works in terms of medical um, responsibilities. Okay, then you got to pack. So it's going to be crucial. You got to have the basic clothing. You got to be packing essential medications and things like that, as well as the medical records. Yep, they need those. They need the list of medications. They need what mobility aids are you going to be bringing, such as canes, walkers, wheelchairs, the emergency contact information. Because what if something happens to you? Well, then you need your senior to have that emergency contact information, don't you? Also, any dietary restrictions, those are important. and non-perishable snacks so they get hungry. They're going to need water too as they travel, of course. Compression socks also help tremendously, um, especially if they're going to be sitting on long flights and you want to encourage them to get up. A blanket is always nice too. Airlines used to provide these, but they don't anymore. What I did was I layered my mom, so I brought sweaters and coats for her, and I always brought her a hat, even though I have a rule to shut off that air thing blowing on you, because that is blowing on everybody. So if the guy in row one sneezes and it goes up through that vent above them, it ends up in seat 11 where you're sitting, it comes right back out. So they recycle this air, but they don't purify it. They say they would, but as one pilot told me, it costs too much to run the air purification system, takes too much strain on the airplane and the gas. So we have the system and we tell people we have it, we just don't use it. So beware. I always shut those vents off. Okay. But I always brought a hat, a wool hat for my mom, a scarf, her sweater, and then her jacket. I did not want her cold on a flight. All right. Also, make sure that you've got those emergency contacts with you and not in the luggage in case the luggage gets lost. All right, medication, you got to take that with you too. You got to be carrying that. Don't forget the changes in the time zones, of course, and the different meal times are going to interfere with proper dosing. So you got to be familiar with that. When should she be taking her pills on a regular basis, especially if he or she is on a blood thinner? Okay, before departure, make sure you organize everything, and you even set your phone on alarms is not a bad idea. If you get to the place, make sure one of the things is if you're stopping overnight as you're traveling, let's say you're car traveling and you've got to make a stop overnight at a hotel before you get in the car the next day. If you're doing something like that, or even at the destination, you're staying in a hotel instead of someone's home, it's a really good idea to keep a list of the bags that you take in and the bags you come out with. I count my bags. If I have 7 bags I'm taking in, including my purse, then I am bringing out 7 bags. So I know exactly that nothing is left in that room. And I often have somebody else, if I'm with a family member, check the room before. I have left clothes in the closet. I have left food in the refrigerator. I have left my pajamas on the back of a bathroom door, a bathing suit there, towels. I can't tell you all the things I've left in. The number one thing that people leave in the hotel room, by the way, are phone chargers. So if you ever need a phone charger, you forgot yours at home, do not go buy one. Just go down to the front desk. They have a drawer there full of hundreds of phone chargers. And just, it's like give one, take one. So you've got a phone charger down there, I'm sure. So please do not leave those prescription medications um, anywhere but in the bag you're carrying. Okay. The other thing is between planning the accommodations and keeping track of the medications and the accessibility, it's easy to forget your own well-being. So you have to take time out. As a care partner or a caregiver, your role is demanding, and burnout is going to happen quickly, especially on a trip, especially if your loved one, and I've seen this on a plane. I have seen an elderly couple traveling, and the wife had dementia and the husband was trying to keep her calm. She was not calm. She was spiraling, and the a husband was pretty much ignoring her, and the flight attendant was trying to calm her down, and they said she can't travel on this plane, and so that was canceling their trip because the flight attendant did not know she had dementia. I did. And, I intervened, but they still felt it was not a good situation for this lady to stay on the plane in her state, which I agreed. And the husband and her had to leave the plane. So know that you need breaks, but one of the best things you can do when you get on an airplane is to tell the flight attendant that your loved one, if they have dementia, that you're going to be sitting with them, they have dementia, and you need a calm and quiet, you know, place for her, and that's what you're going to be doing, is helping her rest. Okay, but you deserve your trip too, so make sure you take breaks and you get the respite care you need. Care coordination shouldn't fall on only you. So, multiple family partners or members are going to get together, and this is when you delegate. And like I said, when you're talking to other family members about whether you should bring somebody or not, the key here is that I want you to be sure to ask them at that time, can you help? I need somebody to take mom to the bathroom. I need somebody to make sure mom's comfortable in a chair off to the corner, not too low of a chair. It's got to be a chair high enough, or even a wheelchair for her. I need a couple of hours off. If it's a 3-day event, I need a couple of hours off in the middle day. I need a couple of hours off when I get there. I need a couple of hours off before I leave so I can get everything packed up and ready to go. These are times when you say, I need somebody to take mom. Okay. And to be honest with you, your senior is going to enjoy seeing these other people and not you. She sees you all the time. So make sure that she gets to see as many people as possible. All right. Not everyone is going to be comfortable with hands-on assistance, like, taking your loved one to the bathroom. So who is that going to fall on if it doesn't fall on you? The mode of transportation, of course, plays a huge role in the travel comfort. Flights are fast, but there are security lines. And of course, it always seems that TSA wants to pat down the senior in the wheelchair. I have no idea why they pick on the senior in the wheelchair, but they're looking for something. I don't know. But anyway, know that that may occur. It's very common that they do this. Um, Also, the seating arrangements, the rest stops, boarding, of course, ahead of time. For long car trips, bring supportive cushions. Make sure you know where the rest stops are so you can break easily and frequently. And especially if you're carrying a dog or a cat with you, you'd have to do this anyway. So get out there in those parks and make sure everything's secure when you're helping your senior out. You get in and out, maybe even walk a little bit around that park before you get back in. Trains and cruises, I have had caregivers take their senior on train rides across countries, right? Senior love doing it, but there are times when they wear out. So how are you going to put in some time for rest for these seniors if they've got a 7-day train ride or a cruise where are they going to become rested? The other thing you want to know is if they do have dementia, any stage of dementia, or they go into confusion and you've got them on a cruise or a train, you need to let somebody on that train who works on that train know this. Okay, so again, they don't spiral like they might in a plane. So just be familiar with that. And car trips, of course, you've got to stop frequently for their legs. Okay, how to manage medical needs while traveling. So, if they have any medical conditions like incontinence, diabetes, or mobility issues, you've got to prepare for these ahead of time, especially the incontinence. Many seniors are very concerned about this. This is one of the things where they absolutely are so aware that they might have to go to the bathroom. They need assorbent pads. They might need your help in those airplane bathrooms. Try to get them to go to the bathroom before the airplane takes off. Hopefully, it's not more than a longer ride than 2 hours, okay, in an airplane. But if they have to use the bathroom, so be it. The other thing the quandary you have is you want to keep them hydrated. So the last thing you want is dehydration, which is very common during travel. So you want to keep giving them water, but you know that's going to lead to them, frequently going to the bathroom. Bring an extra change of clothing for them in a travel bag. Let them know that, it's no big deal. If they have an accident, you're okay with that. And so is everybody else. That's what happens. With diabetics, You want to make sure you've got their medications, and you want to make sure you know when their insulin supplies, where they are, and when to use these insulin supplies. And be sure to check their blood sugar level, especially during traveling, because it can go awry. Okay, the new environment is also going to present certain safety issues for them. Whether they're staying in a hotel or a rental room or with another family, there's got to be things that you have to have. First of all, you got to remove all clutter and loose rugs, any cords that are in the area. You've got to do this. Another thing, in hotels, you've got to request the ground floor rooms, like I said, or the handicapped rooms with the walk-in showers. But you got to bring your own night light. They got to have a night light, or the bathroom light has to stay on, something like that, so they can get up and they can get to the bathroom safely. Because remember, we're often confused when we're in a hotel. We don't remember where we are. We get out of bed and bam, the next thing you know, we hit a wall or something. All right. So they need these night lights. If it helps, do they need some kind of ID bracelet on their arm? Do they need door alarms? Do they need a um, oh, what was I going to say? Let's see, the lights. Oh, yeah, the socks or shoes for better grip so they don't fall. Um, and do they need to practice getting out of bed and going to the bathroom first before they retire for the night? All right. Um, Travel again. You wake up times, are they too early for them? Is it going to cause exhaustion? Do you have your blanket for them? What are the signs of fatigue, confusion, and irritability? My best suggestion here is, when you get to your location, instead of everybody flooding in, and especially anything, family reunions, funerals, whatever, give your senior some time to rest. And you're going to need it too. So when you arrive at your destination, really, if you could give yourself like 2 hours to just relax, take a deep breath before the family hits, um, and comes in for company and wants to start talking, because we're all tired after we travel. Just make your plans in such a way that you get there 2 hours earlier than the event starts, so you can at least rest. More is better, even if you can arrive a day earlier, just to get acclimated, especially if it's a new time zone, or especially if you think your senior is going to be overwhelmed with a lot of people there. Get there early and take the time. You might even consider spending an extra day there afterwards, just to relax before you start heading home again. Okay? All right. Then sometimes the travel has to be postponed. And this is for, of course, health reasons. So if you see that they're getting worse, and maybe frequently dizzy, maybe they can't get up anymore, maybe they stand up and they get real dizzy, or they had recent hospitalizations or even surgeries, you're going to have to reconsider the travel plans. Signs that may warrant canceling or rescheduling include severe fatigue, any kind of illness, uncontrolled pain, sudden cognitive decline, and of course, any recent infections. Even minor conditions like, the flu or dehydration can make travel dangerous for them. So if you got to cancel, you got to check with all your plans that you made, and all those reservations. And again, that's when booking them, you have to have the right options in there. So know what your options are. Then also, clear communication with the family is key to avoid any stress or misunderstanding. Some family members are going to assume that you're the primary care partner and you're going to handle everything, which means you're not going to have a good trip. So before the trip, make sure everybody understands what they can and cannot do for dad or mom or the spouse. Okay? Who's going to handle the medication management? Who's going to handle, it's like, think about it this way. If you traveled and you had more than one child, and for instance, I had 3 children, right? When my husband and I traveled, we always assigned ourselves a child to watch. So it was never a thing where I thought you had Sarah or I thought you had Johnny. No. If I said I was going to be watching them, I was watching them. Okay. Or he was watching them and I was watching David. So somebody's got to be watching, responsible for these kids. So same thing here. You've got to direct these care tasks. Who is in charge of their medications? Do you want to be in charge all day or only one day? And then who's in charge next? And what you do is you just become the person that oversees this, and you make sure that the people understand that they're not going to forget to do these things. And of course, you don't pick people who are not reliable, or worse, they say they'll do it and then they never do. That's not going to work. So, unexpected situations that are going to arise during the travel, you want to be prepared in advance. And of course, the biggest thing you can do here is the medical history and medication list, is to keep this book with you. Make sure you have their insurance, their health insurance in there. And again, the legal directives like the power of attorney, the living will, or the medical decisions that have to be made. Not all states honor medical decisions. For example, the best practices here is, for instance, in Florida, you have to have two people sign the medical decisions. Some states require one, some might require none. So the best practice is always have whatever state you live in, even if they require only one signature on medical decisions, we require two. So make sure you get two. That way, if you're in any state, a two. I've never seen three signatures required, but maximum two. So make sure you get those two signatures on all documents, and that means that that document would be valid in all states, because otherwise, like I said before, you end up making decisions, or somebody does, and it becomes chaos. Cognitive issues means that you got to have a medical bracelet, or with them, on them at all times, especially if they're likely to wander. And again, somebody's got to be watching them to make sure they don't. Okay, not all hotels or vacation rentals like Airbnb and things like that are senior friendly. So before you book, make sure you got the ramps, the wheelchair, the floor rooms, the elevators, the grab bars in the bathroom if you need those. And again, if you're staying with a family, ensure that the space is easily accessible. The other thing you got to make sure is that there's no tripping hazards. And if the family you're staying with has pets, especially cats, many people are allergic to cats, many people are afraid of dogs. So how are you going to handle this? It is not going to make for a comfortable trip if your senior is allergic to cats and dogs, or fear either one of them. Cats can tend to trip seniors. They jump in front of them, and that will cause a senior to trip. So that way, you may reconsider putting your loved one in a home that has animals, unless those animals are staying outside or in only a certain part of the house and never come out. I know that's a difficult thing to ask of the host or hostess, but it is a safety precaution to keep the animals away. If the animals, I've had situations where the caregiver, the senior, is allergic to cats, and the host has said, well, the cats won't be in those rooms during that time. But the cat has been in the room before the senior arrived. In fact, the cat has slept on the pillows and the blankets and has all the dander there, and the senior ends up with asthma, can't breathe, and has to go to the emergency room because the cat was sleeping on the bed. So it doesn't work. You've got to have no cats around, nothing that the person is allergic to during that time. Um, Again, we talked about this, the rest days and the flexibility in schedule. So don't overdo it with your loved one. Pick and choose the things they can do and the things they can't do. If it's a sightseeing tour, do they want to go, or do they want to stay at home for that and then go to something else later on? Sometimes there's the rehearsal dinner at a wedding, and then there's a party afterwards. And then there's people gathering throughout the day before as everybody's coming in for the wedding. Then the next day is the wedding, and there's more people coming in for that. And then there's the wedding, and then the reception after that. So you're going to have to pick and choose what activities that your senior can do and not do, and make sure you have a comfortable place. I like having a Airbnb if it's conducive to, for seniors, and having them have a room where they can rest, and then welcoming the guest party and the wedding party to the whole Airbnb, um, right near where the venue is going to be, or even getting a suite. So a suite is really nice in a hotel because the senior can go and sleep for a while everybody else is in the other rooms. All right. So travel is just not about all these logistics I'm talking about, but it should be enjoyable. And that means taking a lot of pictures, having people maybe sign things and cards, and planning activities that your loved one can truly enjoy and they're going to participate in and they want to. So don't overbook everything. Make sure that there is time to do relaxing things. They might want to go on a boat ride, but boat rides are very, very tiring. People tend to sleep after they're being out all day at a picnic or a boat ride. So keep some simple activities, even if your senior likes to sit in a park in the wheelchair. They could reminisce over family photos while they're talking to other people. Make sure you have some easy things in with the fast-paced things. Again, we talked about this, having the emergency contacts list, and if they get disoriented, what are you going to do? How do you handle these? Do you know where the pharmacies are in the destination you're going to? The hospitals and the urgent care centers. This to me is extremely important because if you have a destination you're going to, and there are 3 or 4 hospitals in that city, and your loved one has a heart condition, you want to go to the hospital that's known for their heart care. You don't want to go to the one that's known for their neurosurgery and back spinal care. Okay? Hospitals specialize in different things. So you should know, especially with the host or hostess in the destination you're going, do they know, they'll know which hospitals are the best for your mom, dad to go to. All right? So carry in a small emergency card with all the allergies on them. And it doesn't have to be allergies of medications. It can be they just can't take it because it makes them dizzy. They can't take it because it gives them diarrhea. They can't take it because it makes them fall. So there are medications that we're not necessarily allergic to, but we can't do for different reasons. And then if their health changes at the last minute, you have to adjust those schedules or even make a shorter trip if that's necessary. And ways to stay connected, as I said, video chats and calls, and arrange. If they can't come to you, maybe you could have another event later on where they could come back to you. I'll show you that in a minute. And then to reduce the travel anxiety, people, especially with dementia, you've got to explain the trip. You can write it down. You go over it several times and try to do a practice run if the trip is just going to be a short distance. Keep routines as close to normal as possible. And make sure that you know the signs that the travel may no longer be safe for you or for them. And unfortunately, this happens a lot. Don't feel guilty about it. You go on the trip because you've made arrangements for them to stay at home in case they couldn't go. And then alternatives, like I said, host family gatherings later on, set up the virtual visits, or bring the entertainment to them. So you can always do that. And they can feel a part of it there. And then to recap, so decide if the travel is realistic, plan ahead for accessibilities, keep the important medical and legal documents available, pace the trip to prevent fatigue, and don't forget your own well-being, which means have other people help you. You don't have to be the only one that does this over and over again. So I think this has covered everything that I have seen. I'm sure I could think of 1,000 more examples, but when you're traveling with your senior, think about the things that you're going to need and how to prepare in case of. That's the biggest thing I can tell you. And be ready to change plans if you need to. And you'll have a wonderful trip when you do pace yourself accordingly. So take care, and we'll talk soon. And if you have any questions, just let me know. Thanks.